Right, so I've got a new car in today. It's a VX Clubby, and we're going for some rear bags. So I'll take you on the installation process and we'll get this thing a bit lower to the ground.
Designed to impress.
So the first thing that I do when I airbag a car or put airbag suspension in is I get all of the actual air control stuff installed. If you install the airbags first, then the car's aired out because it doesn't have any air in the actual bags, so you can't maneuver it, can't move it in and out, can't get the doors open past the hoist and things like that. So I install all of the air control stuff first, so the valve block, tank, compressor, all the wiring and that, run all that first, and then install the bags last. That way the bags, or the suspension's at a reasonable height to be able to maneuver it as needed for the longest part of time, so it's only unable to drive essentially for the time that you put the bags in and then hook the airlines up because everything else is ready to go. So let's go and get the tank and everything installed and all the wiring and stuff ran, and get all the air control sorted. Alright, so now it's time to cut the legs off on the tank, and the reason to do this is because if you can see here the drain, well not that end, but at this end the drain is vertical with the legs, so you can see the drain bung there at the bottom, and it's straight up and down with the legs or the brackets where they're going to mount. And we're going to actually rotate this tank and mount it on a 90-degree angle, and therefore these legs are no longer allowing the drain to function correctly. So I've actually seen quite a few installs where businesses have left it, and so you have to fill your tank half with water before it can actually drain out, so it's a bit sad to see. But anyway, yeah, so we'll cut the legs off, rotate it at 90 degrees, and then weld them back on, and then that allows us to utilise the drain still. So get that cut off and then we'll mount it into the vehicle. So there we go, tank legs are all welded on. Now we'll be able to have it at a 90-degree angle while still allowing the drain to function correctly. So we'll go ahead and get that mounted in the vehicle now. Alright, so I've gone ahead and mounted the tank and put in this bottom plate here and mounted the compressor and valve block. Just done all the wiring for the actual valve block itself. Did all that off camera because it's pretty boring to watch. So now to get the rest of the compressor all wired up, and then we can actually start lifting the vehicle up and installing the actual bags. So let's go ahead and get all that installed. So now that the air control's done all in the boot, we can now put the car up on the hoist and remove the wheels and take the springs out. And then we get to cut the spring locators out, or the bump stops, because they're a dual purpose in these vehicles. So cut that out to get a nice flat surface to mount the bags in, and actually get the bags mounted to drill all the holes and bolt the bags through the chassis. So we'll go ahead and get that all sorted. So the wheels are taken off and the springs are out now. So now it's time to cut these spring locators here off. So we'll get them cut off and ground back, and then we can weld in the bottom nut so that the bag can be threaded in, and then the holes up top can be drilled to bolt through in behind the seat. So go ahead and cut these off now and get it ready for the bags. Right, so all of the holes are drilled now, and the bottom welding nut is all welded in. So we're now ready to take our bag, thread the bottom in, and then lift up the whole control arm and guide the top two bolts here and bolt them in from behind the seat. So let's go ahead and fit the bag. Alright, so here's a bit of a handy tip. If you've got to put a nut in from the top and you don't want the nut to fall out, chuck a bit of masking tape over the top. Put your nut in first into your socket, chuck a bit of masking tape over the top, and then it won't be able to fall out, but you can still go in, and as soon as you hit your bolt, it'll penetrate the masking tape, and then you can just tighten up your nut like normal. So a bit of a handy tip so you don't drop nuts everywhere. Don't drop your nuts unless you're like 12 or 13. Bag's all installed. Now we can run the air line from the actual bag in through the wheel well and into the valve assembly that we installed earlier. Alright, so the switches have all been wired up now, and I've finished the front compressor wiring. So I'll show you in a second, but I've made a little bracket and put the little circuit breaker on that, and then that goes to the positive terminal on the battery. So it's all wired up now, and there's actually pressure in the bag. So I've done a quick soap test, and everything looks okay at the moment. So now I'll do a sit test, and I'll just let the vehicle sit for a few hours and see if it drops. If anything drops, then I know to look at that particular side, whether it's the bag or the tank if it goes down. And I made up a little gauge panel in the center console there, that's where the customer wanted the gauge. So yeah, everything's all hooked up and working at the moment. So we can now put the wheels back on and lower the vehicle back down and put it on the ground. So I'll get that done, and then we'll get a few shots of the actual vehicle all aired out and through its travel range. These shocks probably need to be replaced and put shortened shocks in, because they look to be full size shocks are just factory replacements. So it'll go lower if we have those shortened shocks in. But for now, that's what's in the vehicle, so we'll leave it the way it is. So it won't go as low as it could, but should still be a bit more adjustable and a little bit better over the springs that were in it. So let's get this on the ground. And with that, the VX Club is all done. So the rear bag kit's all supplied and fitted, and front springs have been changed over. I did that off camera because that wasn't the point of this video. It was more of the installation of the bag kit. So thanks all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next modification.